Hey everybody, it's your boy Big Benchenko coming at you with the First and Blast podcast. And today, I'm recording from a special place. I'm in Canton, Ohio. As you can see, I'm in my hotel room, and I figure I'd bring you guys a video while I'm out here. I'll be out here for the weekend, so I was just chilling and figured I'd throw one out real quick. And today, I want to talk about running backs that I would avoid. Well, these are running backs I think everybody should avoid. I think there's better, there's other players that are better in that position. So let's get at it and get started. Okay, my first one's Josh Jacobs. He's the running back 12, and, he's going to be the feature back in Green Bay, but everybody loves this Marshawn Lloyd. And, Josh Jacobs, he's been in decline lately. He didn't have a great season last year. He held out, and then he ended up playing, and then, he ended up in Green Bay. So, with Marshawn Lloyd, I think at the beginning of the year, you're going to get a whole bunch of Josh Jacobs, and I think he's going to be okay. But, as the season comes, as the season goes, and Marshawn Lloyd gets better and better, I just don't see Josh Jacobs. He's not going to lose a starting spot. But, Marshawn Lloyd could get into them touches. If he takes away half of his touches, that really puts Jacobs in a bad place, especially where you're drafting with an ADP overall 30. It means you're taking him in possibly the second round, third round. It's going to be late second, third. It just all depends. And, to me, I think I would let your league mates just take Josh Jacobs and avoid him altogether. Just stay away from him. It's like I said, at the beginning of the year, I think he's going to be good. But as the year goes on, we see it every year with these older running backs, and you got these rookies, they come in, they start coming on. And then, they eventually just eat into all the touches. And and that's definitely not good at the end of the year when, you might be nearing the playoffs and you need this guy to be, full force ready to roll. All right, the next guy I have, and I'm going to explain my reasons for having him, is a Christian McCaffrey. Okay, here's the thing. I'm not saying Christian McCaffrey's a bad running back. This dude, when he's on the field, he's the best player, in the NFL, hands down. He rushes, he receives. He's a beast. But he is old. He's getting old. He's not really old, but in running back years in the NFL, the guy's old. But, he's dealt with injuries in the past. Last year, he's pretty healthy. And you definitely got your money's worth out of him last year. But, they've already said this year they want to take it more easy with him, preserve him, And, and you're going to have to take this guy with probably your number one pick. You might get lucky in certain leagues, and, you might get, you might get him at the third pick, but I don't see him going any more than number 3. So, you're really looking, this guy's your focal point of your team. And, I don't see him being bad. Unless he gets hurt. But, it's been a couple years since he's been hurt, and I hate to say it like this because, nobody wants to see a player get hurt, but he's almost due. Just the way he's used. Running backs have the biggest risk of being injured. You look at any, doctor that follows, the NFL, and, you listen to guys, you read stuff on Twitter, listen to their, listen to them talk on YouTube, a lot of them have pages. They're telling you the running back position, it's rough. So Christian McCaffrey, I am avoiding. I think you could go Bijan, however you want to say his name, Breece Hall, and you're going to get the same productivity out of 2 young guys with a lot less of the risk. All right, the next guy I have is Austin Ekeler. He's he's 29 years old. Let's face it, the guy's never had over 1,000 yards rushing, ever. Now, I've never liked Austin Ekeler, and I can proudly say since he's been in the NFL, I've never drafted this guy, not once. I know he's had, some seasons that were okay, whatever, for fantasy, but, I've never drafted him. I've always stayed away from him. I don't want to use the word bad or stinks or sucks, but, I never really cared for him. Yeah, I've always avoided him. I let everybody else, fall into that pitfall. Because before this year, he was always a low-end guy. Like, you're taking him in the first round, second round, and you definitely were getting paid off for having him. So, and this year he's going to be splitting carries with Brian Robinson, and I know people say, well, if Brian Robinson was so good, why did they bring Austin Ekeler in? I mean, you got to think about it. Washington lost, they lost Gibson to New England. So, they needed another guy, and, they want to take pressure off off Jaden Daniels. He's a rookie, and, so, like, to me, I just wouldn't touch Austin Ekeler. I mean, because here's the thing. In the end, I believe Brian Robinson is going to beat him out, and he's going to be running the offense more than Austin Ekeler. Now, Ekeler, you're not getting at like a bad, you're not getting him bad, like at an ADP of 90 overall. So that's what, the 10th round, 9th round. So it's not awful, but there's just other, what I mean? Like, I think you just can avoid him altogether. Like, listen, he's going before Brian Robinson in a lot of drafts. Before I would touch Austin Ekeler, I would take Gus Edwards, hands down. You know what I mean? Like, that's how much I'm so off of Austin Ekeler at the moment. So avoid him. I'm telling you now, I say this every year to everybody I talk to. Stay away from Austin Ekeler. Every year there's always that one, don't be that dude. So, all right, my next guy is Aaron Jones. He's with Green Bay last year. He's with Minnesota now. Here's another guy. I mean, everyone's always so high on him. I mean, he had that one year where he had, 16 touchdowns. It was like some disgusting, craziness. I think that was like 1920 year maybe or something like that. But, he missed 6 games last year. He left a few games early because of injury. And I'm just not on him. And, and I know a lot of people talk about that Ty Chandler. I don't think Ty Chandler is going to beat him out for the possession or anything like that, but he is going to take carries away. Everyone's really hyping up, Ty Chandler, but I think you'd be all right that way if you did take Aaron Jones. But I mean, really, you're rolling the dice with, with him getting hurt. And I understand that any player can get hurt at any time. That's just a given. It's the NFL. I mean, it's a rough sport, violent sport, so guys are going to go down. But but this guy seems like, if you look back at his stats, he doesn't finish seasons a lot of years he only played 12 games. I think he had 16 games and 17 games was the most he's ever played. So, and he's been around for a while. So, this is a guy who gets hurt. Like, you're just risking it, and to me, it's just not worth it's just not worth the risk. And he's also 30 years old. He's aging. Running back years in the NFL, that's like, that's like being 100 years old on the streets. Just the way it is. And then the last guy I have for you guys, this is kind of like a split. I would avoid both of these guys, actually. Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. Because here's the thing. Tony Pollard is a feature back for Dallas. He was awful. We've seen this before. These backup running backs, they get their chance. And everybody's so on him. Last year everybody was on Tony Pollard. I stayed away from him. It was like that Alexander Madison effect, People are like, well, he's going to be a starter. He's got to do good. Well, that's not always true. As you could find out with Tony Pollard and Alexander Madison, who if he's not even relevant enough to be on a list, or I would hate him too. But, then you got to think, Tony Pollard, you got to think, why did they bring in Tony Pollard? If you believed in Tyjae Spears that much, this is why I don't like Tyjae Spears, you wouldn't bring in Tony Pollard. So you bring in Tony Pollard basically to complement Tyjae Spears, which I think Tony Pollard's going to win that job anyway. And here's the thing with Tyjae Spears. He sat behind Derrick Henry all them years, Like, he sat behind Derrick Henry. I think it was only 1 year. I said all those years, but he was behind Derrick Henry. And, of course, the pressure is going to be off you. I mean, you got a guy like Derrick Henry running. I mean, the guy's, he's an animal. So, Tony Pollard is not Derrick Henry. So, so Tyjae Spears and Tony Pollard are the other two people that I will be avoiding at all costs. I will definitely be jumping to other running backs. They're both going around the same place. I mean, Pollard's going before Spears at this point. And, anything can change. But just avoid them both altogether. I mean, really, when you're getting a running back, I understand some people wait for running backs. But, if you're going to wait, there's better options than these two guys. You don't want running backs that are going to be splitting. You don't know which guy's going to get more carries yet. So, you just want to try. I mean, I don't even say try. Just do it. Just don't draft them. All right, guys, that's all I have today. I know it's it's kind of a quick video, but I'm just here. I figured I'm in Canton. I figured I'd do a video real quick. I'm getting ready to head over to the Icebreaker poker tournament. I decided not to play this year, but my brother's over there playing. I decided to go shopping and then stop back in the room and make this video real quick. And if anyone sees this, if you're going to be at the party tonight, I will be there tonight. So stop by and say what's up. All right, guys. You guys have a good one. Peace out.